Okay, 1031. Good luck again. That's a little bit too much of a rating gap. I shouldn't be playing players quite this much. 100 games, it's enough to kind of establish your base rating, but my opponent could be a little bit underrated, but it is enough to establish a rating. But yeah, we shouldn't be getting quite such monstrous rating gaps. Just develop and challenge the pawn to attack it. We're just going to basically try and get castled, then worry about what to do. I'm going to play pawn up just to cut out this annoying check. Okay, he could have played bishop down there maybe, but no, I'm going to take back. I think it's a mistake, this possibly, because he had the bishop move. But now I'm going to try and develop, just threaten to capture, but I'm really just trying to complete development in castle. Okay, he's playing a lot of good moves very, very quickly, man, doesn't he? A lot of good moves very quickly. I'm looking at this, this, and this. Now, knight up puts pressure on here, but it's got to be better to look at king safety first. So that's what I'm going to do. He's played the opening really, really well so far. Bishop up. So I'm going to castle. Now I'm looking at the obvious knight up move, but yeah, he's moving him too quickly here. Just develop and try and centralize the rooks, and then decide what to do with the bishops. Where do they want to go here? I can bring the rook 1 or 2, or 2 or 3 over, I should say. It's just a case of what do I want to do with this one. This is obviously very logical. Yeah, I'm going to bring this rook over just to pressure the pawn. There's no immediate threat, but okay, he's dropped back. Oh, excuse me. So bishop back. If bishop down, might give him a chance to blunder with knight up. Maybe he's then got a move like bishop up though, but it still should be good for me. So here, knight up. If bishop down, gain a queen, lose a queen, gain a bishop, lose a knight, gain a bishop, or gain a bishop, lose a pawn, gain a rook, lose a rook. Should be good for me. And I'm quite happy to keep the bishop on if he plays a completely different move anywhere, like say queen down or queen somewhere else. I can just maybe drop back. But I think that gives him a chance to blunder, and that's what he's done. So I think it's a mistake or a blunder. So I think knight up is my move. So here I think I'm fine to take. So what about here? Same principle, I think. Gain a queen, lose a queen, gain a bishop. If I lose a knight, I simply gain the bishop, and I've gained a piece. Yeah, it's gotta be a good move. So if he takes the bishop, I just take the queen. If he moves the queen anywhere, I simply take his bishop. But apart from that one little mistake, he's played a really good opening so far, and very, very quickly. And of course, at any given moment, I can just make one silly sloppy blunder. Okay, so here it should win at least an exchange for me, but I've got the intermove of bishop up to still attack the queen, and I'm still hitting the bishop. So that's a very logical move, but I could take first. So gain a bishop, lose a bishop, gain a rook, lose a knight, and I've won an exchange. But bishop up, and I've still got the momentum attacking the queen. If you come here, I can simply take. So bishop up looks clean to me. My rooks guard each other. So I'm going to play bishop up and attack the queen. I still attack the bishop twice. If he goes anywhere, I think it's still the same sort of concept. I might be wrong though, but bishop takes, knight takes back, and I guard my bishop, and I've still gained my piece, I think. But of course, I only need to get it wrong once, and could be a disaster. Right, so he's played that move queen back. So I assume I can just simply take the bishop now. If I take the queen, he actually gets his bishop out of the way. I don't want to do that. So take, and I hit 2 pieces. If he takes, I can just take back. So I've gained the piece. So just take and capture back with a knight. It looks clean enough. Okay, so I'm going to take now. We hit the bishop, we hit the rook. So I assume I want to take here, and then I've also got bishop in, which I could do first. The rook will move, take the knight and double him up. Actually, yeah, I think I like that more. I'm just going to go in and try and double his pawns up before I take this bishop now, so I might not take that bishop now. Yeah, I think it's better to take the knight, give up my bishop, but he gets a messed up pawn structure. Then at some point I just need to shift a pawn to give my king a bailout square. Okay, so he's played forward. So I'm just going to take. So I could obviously take here as well, and he gets a better pawn structure. But we get material off the board. But I'm going to do the bailout move first, just so I don't blunder that one move back rank checkmate, or do some sort of mouse slip or something. Now in principle I look at moves like rook across. He could try and do that himself. I could still simply trade here. He gets a better pawn structure, but it's a piece off the board, so there's less risk in theory. Let's just see how he plays it. He comes forward, so that kind of invites a pawn forward. It does then mean he can potentially come here, but it gives me momentum to develop, doesn't it? I could just play rook across. If he comes over, simply take. Yeah, I like the idea of that. Getting one of the rooks off the board, I like the idea that I expect he'll play across and I'll just take the rook. Then I'll consider taking here. Just got to pay attention so I don't blunder something sloppy. Right, so he has indeed done that. So if I gain a bishop, I'll lose a rook. Gain a rook, lose a rook is no good. So just, as planned, takes. He could go with the pawn. I could still do this, give him a much better structure, but I'm cleanly winning. So I'm going to get the rook off. And then it's a case of what do I want to do next? Makes sense to go with the pawn, which he's done. So do I want to gamble? Allow this, the 4 pawns to connect up. It's a little bit risky, isn't it? It feels like it is, but it's probably better to keep the pawns separate, but it means I'm allowing him to keep his bishop. Knight across hits the pawn. If he takes, I'd be really pleased. So I'm looking at knight across, and he can't really go here. Maybe he can get away with it, but it feels risky. If he comes down, the bishop can drop back. Yeah, I'm going to play knight across and just hit that pawn. If the king comes up, he's walking into a discovered check, but I'm not sure the discovered check actually gains anything. There's no obvious targets. Oh, he has indeed come forward. Okay. Now, if I go here, he can step forward and I can check back. So I think it's a free pawn. If he takes, I still take. And if he doesn't attack the knight, I can just leave it there. So I don't want to overcomplicate this though and just make a silly blunder, but looked like a free pawn, so I've taken it. The knight back with a check again. I'd be very pleased if he took. He doesn't. So now where does bishop go? Here or here? Here. If he pushes, I can counter. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Just come here, and if he pushes, I can counter. Okay, he does trade now. So we just got to avoid letting him get in a new queen. We're hitting a pawn, which he's allowed us to get, so that should be good enough now. And then we can try and just run this pawn up the board. Okay, he's pushed forward. Now, I could check, takes, but he can just take here or push on. That would be a disaster. So I think I just take, then check and collect. And then I can always plant this bishop. I just have to avoid anything sloppy now. But check and collect, plant the bishop. King's safe. And then just run the pawn up the board. I'll run the other pawn up the board. Okay. I think I'll just run this one. As soon as he attacks this, I can obviously guard. Oh, I meant to highlight there rather than make a move, but it's still a perfectly good move. I meant to just draw an arrow there and actually use the wrong mouse button. Not to worry. So now I will just plant that bishop. So obviously he's going to try and set up a draw net. He might actually do that. So if I go here, we're setting up a checkmate threat. So here, if he takes and I take back, his king has 1 square here, so it's definitely not a stalemate. But it creates a chance of rook check, king up, and a nice pawn checkmate, doesn't it? So I'm going to take... I don't think I'm blundering a stalemate, but that's the risk I'm taking. That's what he's trying to create. But I think it's just going to be checkmate now. Check. Here or here, and that's checkmate, right? I'm just double checking that I'm not missing anything. I think I can do it with this pawn as well, but I don't think I am, so I'm going to play it. And then we end with a nice checkmate, but a really good effort by my opponent. I won it for a 1000 rating. When you're outrated by 1200 points as well, that's a terrific effort. That is really, really good. How many moves did we do? 40 moves. Okay, it was a relatively comfortable game for me, but just make one sloppy blunder somewhere and that could easily go horribly wrong, because my opponent, like I say, played on the whole a very good game there. So we'll just let this go through the analyzer and see what it says. So you can see I'm better for the vast bulk of the game here. Yeah, so it says we played 97% versus 87% accuracy. My centre pawn loss only 15 because it was a fairly comfortable game for me. My average is about 32. 40 for my opponent. It's really, really terrific for the rating. It really is. And see, we're about level here, and then it just went wrong for my opponent. So it'll be where he's allowed the knight up, I'm assuming. Yeah, bishop d3. You can turn the engine on. Obviously, take your time with your own games, play through them. It was the correct move. It was correct to play bishop up to challenge the queen as well. And the engine is saying what? The engine is saying white should have just taken the bishop there and allowed the queen to go, apparently. Bishop takes, then give up the bishop as well, and then take back with the rook. So it's still completely winning for me. It's plus 4.5, but yeah, on the whole, you can see it, the speed and quality, very, very good by my opponent there, so well done.